The moment Grace stood on my front porch, I knew something had gone terribly wrong. Her hair was soaked from the summer rain, her hands trembled as if she had been holding herself together for hours, and the confident smile she always wore had vanished. She looked at me with exhausted eyes and whispered, "I need a favor from you." I forced a small smile, hiding my own racing heart, and answered, "Only if you grant my one request." Neither of us realized that those simple words would change two broken lives before the sun set over the quiet streets of Cedar Falls, Iowa. If you believe kindness can heal wounded hearts, that hope deserves another chance, and that forgiveness can rebuild what life has broken, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories. I had known Grace for almost 4 years. She lived 3 houses away and was the kind of neighbor everyone admired. She remembered birthdays, baked pies for new families, and somehow managed to make every child on the block laugh. Yet behind that warm smile was a woman carrying burdens she never spoke about. After losing her husband Nathan to a sudden illness 2 years earlier, she devoted every ounce of energy to raising their 8-year-old son Caleb. She never complained even when life gave her every reason to. I was a carpenter named Benjamin, a widower myself. My wife Rachel had passed away 5 years earlier after a long battle with cancer. Since then, I buried myself in work, fixing other people's homes while quietly ignoring the cracks inside my own heart. Grace and I exchanged friendly conversations over garden fences and snowy driveways, but nothing more. We were 2 lonely people pretending that loneliness had become comfortable. That rainy afternoon, Grace stepped inside my house with hesitant footsteps. She explained that her late husband's parents had unexpectedly arrived from another state. They had never approved of her after Nathan died, believing she should have sold the family home and moved closer to them. Now they intended to petition for shared guardianship of Caleb, claiming she was struggling financially and emotionally. She had only one evening to convince them that Caleb was growing up in a stable, loving environment before an important family meeting the next morning. She didn't ask me to lie. She only asked if I could spend the evening helping repair the old porch Nathan had promised to rebuild before he became sick. She believed that seeing the unfinished project finally completed would remind everyone that Caleb's home was still filled with care instead of neglect. As she spoke, embarrassment filled her face. She hated asking anyone for help. I quietly listened before giving my answer. I told her I would gladly spend the night rebuilding the porch, but only if she granted my one request. I wanted her to stop pretending she had to carry every burden alone. I asked her to promise that whenever life became too heavy, she would knock on my door instead of suffering in silence. For a long moment, tears filled her eyes. Then she nodded without saying another word. The rain slowed as we worked together beneath cloudy skies. We replaced broken boards, tightened loose rails, and painted fresh white trim while Caleb proudly handed us nails and brushes. Neighbors noticed the activity and slowly wandered over. Mrs. Margaret brought lemonade. Pastor Thomas arrived with extra tools. Teenagers from across the street helped clean the yard without being asked. Before sunset, the lonely porch had transformed into the warm entrance Nathan once dreamed of building. When Grace's in-laws arrived later that evening, they expected to find a struggling widow barely keeping her life together. Instead, they found laughter echoing through the yard, children playing safely, neighbors sharing dinner, and a home surrounded by people who genuinely cared. They watched Caleb run confidently between smiling adults who treated him like family. No speech could have been more convincing than that simple picture. The following morning, after long conversations filled with honesty instead of arguments, Nathan's parents quietly admitted they had misunderstood Grace's situation. They confessed that grief had blinded them, making them mistake loneliness for failure. Rather than pursuing legal action, they offered to visit more often and become supportive grandparents instead of distant critics. Grace embraced them with tears streaming down her face, releasing years of hidden hurt in a single moment. As the weeks passed, our promise remained. Grace no longer faced every challenge alone, and I discovered that opening my heart again didn't dishonor Rachel's memory. It honored the love she had taught me to give. Friendship slowly grew into something deeper, not because either of us was searching for romance, but because kindness has a remarkable way of bringing healing where pain once lived. Caleb often joked that the new porch wasn't the only thing that had been rebuilt that summer. Before this story comes to an end, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us about a moment when someone showed up for you exactly when you needed it. Your story might become the encouragement someone else is searching for today. And if this story touched your heart, reminded you that no one is meant to carry life's burdens alone, or inspired you to be there for someone in need, please like the video, share it with family and friends, subscribe for more uplifting stories, and let your kindness continue far beyond this screen. Sometimes the greatest favor we can offer another person isn't money, advice, or even our time. Sometimes it's simply giving them permission to stop pretending they're strong enough to face every storm alone. And every once in a while, one small promise made on a rainy porch becomes the foundation for an entirely new life.